Hi friends, in Planet Earth Dating, it's Monday, November 16th, 2015. We still do not have identifiable soul presences at the wheels of the Lynn Life and the Jamie Body Mind, but it doesn't feel like something gone wrong. It feels like what's necessary right now. So our intention for the videoed portion of today's effort is to do what is ours to do right now in all dimensions, right now, to manifest the divine plan. The data clearly showing what's needed is to provide a collective restart. It being quite clear that nothing happens without a deadline, wiser minds above having set January 17th, 2017 as the deadline for the collective restart, and in order to get there, there is a series of nested deadlines that began at midnight last night, the current deadline being November 29th at midnight, the start of Advent. And with that, it begins. They said by the start of Advent.
Which would be
is probably the stroke of midnight, November 28th.
That's true.
Okay. My attention is brought once more to the nature realm's presences.
That's true.
The group of 50 top nature realms leaders, approximately 50, including and not limited to the three we are knowing as Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
That's true.
What's being highlighted is how in many parts of the world people have their real name and their English name.
That's true.
And this is no different. These three presences have their real names, which we haven't yet been able to hear.
That's true.
And we are referring to them as Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and they like what those names mean, and they're fine with us calling them that.
That's true.
Until we can do better. And the other 50 we're simply calling plus 50.
That's true.
So thank you, friends, for being so understanding about how difficult it is to catch the names in a situation where so many people come and go so quickly, and it takes so much time and effort to discern a name.
That's true.
And now, friends, we have conducted the first miracle experiment. It ended at midnight last night. Now, if we did our job and qualified for a miracle, then a miracle either was delivered or it wasn't.
That's true.
And this is how we discover whether or not miracles are still able to be delivered. Now, my working theory is that since the entire leadership team basically spent their soul energy to the point of not being feeling like they are alive and awake.
That's true.
That means all the chips in, and if that doesn't qualify for a miracle, something's wrong with the definition.
That's true.
And this is why some other presence is holding the space while Ra and Black Wolf and Asha and Glenn and Paul and Betty Jean
and
Garth. Since the Spirit World team is in some kind of process of transitioning, we work with the Nature Realms team.
That's true.
And our part in the November 15th deadline has come and gone, and our part therefore must now be focused on the November 28th deadline.
That's true.
The beginning of Advent. And what happened or didn't happen will become apparent in time.
That's
and
true.
It will show us whether or not miracles are able to be delivered.
Yes, that's true.
If we qualified, but if we didn't qualify, I'm misunderstanding it.
That's true.
I'm taking as my working theory that that is what qualification looks like.
And that was what it feels like, and that's what it smells like.
That's what it sounds like.
That's true.
If anyone were to say to me, that's not good enough, I would say, oh, okay, interesting. Show me how it can be done better. But you do it. Like,
that's
come
true.
in, boots on the ground, and show me what that looks like. Because from this seat, it looks like that was a qualifying event.
That's true.
Now we'll find out. Can a miracle be delivered, yes or no? We see how the central column of the Search for Truth pillar is really caked with lies again, and
that's
how
true.
It simply is a requirement that someone holds continual focus on a search for truth. Without that, it doesn't happen.
That's true.
Maybe it's just a constant search for truth, of a real inquiry, of saying, oh, interesting, what actually is going on? What is real in this situation?
That's true.
What is ours to do right now in all dimensions? My attention keeps being brought to the nature realms presences.
True.
While the spirit world presences are transitioning, the nature realms presences can keep it going.
That's true.
Someone is asking me a question that has to do with Pan.
I feel that.
I can tell that the answer is we don't know. But my working theory is that, as always, in every single situation where Pan has headed hard in the wrong direction, there has been some form of interference with his process.
That's
Something
true.
has happened externally to Pan that is causing him to make poor choices. That's always been what was happening in the past, and that
true.
remains my theory with what's happening now. He's being messed with.
Ooh, something just opened up and now energy's flowing a little bit more.
All of us as a collective, we, roughly 55 of us here,
That's
really
true.
know Pan very well, and we can hold space for truth of what's going on with Pan.
That's true.
While taking as our working theory that Pan himself is not the start of the problem doesn't begin with him. He's responding to something that has come his way with what is probably bad intention.
That's true.
And he's responding to something that's poorly intentioned in not the most effective way.
Yes, that's true. And I feel nodding from the people who were asking the question.
Yes.
Now Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego seem to want to know what happens now. Where do we go?
Oh, well, my understanding is we continue on toward the next deadline, which we had said was November 29th, but we see now is at the stroke of midnight on November 28th.
Yeah, they're nodding.
The start of Advent, continuing toward the goal of getting Thing 1 to live his destiny.
That's true.
And so to do what the nature realms can do, and there is, the nature realms has a different set of tools than the spirit world,
That's true.
and to use the nature realms tools to encourage Thing 1 to live his destiny. And when the spirit world team members regenerate, I guess would be the word,
That's true.
presumably they will join in the fun once more.
Nodding. I feel nodding all around.
What if Thing 1 has already completed his destiny?
Yeah.
We are alert to signals that might happen.
That's
But
true.
we have to take as our working theory something. We have to take as our working theory either he has completed his destiny or he hasn't. So until we have a strong, solid 3D physical dimension signal that he has completed his destiny, then we continue under the assumption that he has not.
That's true. And there's a question from Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, one of the three,
I feel
about
it.
are we going to keep cycling through the Search for Truth pillar and
Oh,
into
please
Thing
do.
1?
Yes, please do. There doesn't seem to be any other way. We know ourselves that we go out into the rest of the all that is, where there isn't a search for truth going on in every moment,
Nodding.
and how quickly clarity clogs, how quickly everything shuts down, the energy flow almost stops. And we have to come back into a cloistered effort in the search for truth,
Nodding.
and then things start to clear up again. So to continue to cycle through as you have been, and if there's any disruption, any attempt to disrupt you,
Nodding.
then to bring it to the forefront of our attention immediately. And if you disappear, that is going to be our assumption that something has happened to waylay you as it did before.
That's true.
And that is our assumption with regard to Pan. You see how from our perspective you disappeared. for a month or so,
Oh
right?
yeah, they're nodding.
And something had happened. It wasn't your choice that you didn't come back, right?
Yeah, nodding.
We assume the same thing has happened to Pan. That's what game theory would say. Right?
Yeah. And one of the three is asking, what happens if, when I'm in the Search for Truth pillar, and one of my other friends is leading in thing 1 and they disappear, should I go after them?
Well, I think in that moment we'll have to converse. We have to then say, all right, what now? What now? And we'll attempt to get the clearest instructions channeled in. Now, Asha and Ra are the clearest channels among us, and they aren't here right now.
Nodding.
So if it happens before they come back, we will fill in some way, somehow. We will attempt to discern what to do, and then we'll go from there. Does that make sense?
Yes, but he's saying yes, but there's this feeling in the stomach of there's nobody worth listening to.
Here's what's been helping us. We totally understand that. Feeling natural and normal given all the water that's gone under this bridge, right?
Yeah, there's nodding.
So this is the question that helps us. How high do I have to reach in order to connect with someone worth listening to, in order to connect with a person or a presence of real integrity, of true integrity? And that inquiry keeps our channels focused up to a place where some truth is emanating from. Here's what we have discovered over the days, weeks, months, and years of this campaign.
Yes.
Is that in every moment there is someone who is wanting for us to succeed. Now that someone has usually just stumbled upon our work and is so many levels above us that they don't personally feel threatened. They feel like it has very little to do with them, and so they're answering our questions honestly because to them the question feels academic.
Yes.
Then what happens is they start to realize, wait a minute, this has implications for themselves and how they themselves should be living, and at that point they begin to feel extremely threatened, and they start giving poor advice, and in some cases being outright disruptive.
And Abednego feels angry, and he's not saying this out loud, but what he's thinking is, I want to go after those, he's saying a different word, but bad guys who messed up Pan.
I have that. I have elements of that emotion myself, but anger is never healed by responding in kind.
Through love alone is anger healed.
Yes, and that might be a good way to make the situation worse, not better.
That's true.
And there is a best way to handle that situation, and I don't yet know what it is.
That's true.
And I don't think anyone really does. We don't yet know. There is some presence up above who has awareness of it, who we've been conversing with.
That's true.
And saying basically, you know about whatever was done with Pan, and you haven't done anything to stop it, and so you're passively responsible for it unless you start to make it right. Make it right. Pan's been messed with. Make it right.
He doesn't feel as angry. And it doesn't feel like he's going to grab an axe and go off looking for someone.
Here's the thing, we still have the assignments. All of this inconvenient reality about Pan doesn't negate the assignments that we still have. We still have these deadlines. And the only thing that's really going to solve this problem is to get the fresh start so that people start doing what is theirs to do. That's the whole point, that there is something in front of each of us in every moment that's 4 hours for us to do, and that when we do it, it will make everything work around us. And each of us have that which is in front of us to do right now. That's our individual soul plan, but together they create a tapestry known as the overall divine plan, a plan that works. The idea of the collective restart is to get people to the point that they are willing to, people being sentient presences of all varieties, physical, non-physical, spirit world, nature realms, etc. All presences to do what's theirs to do right now. Dear friends, do you feel like you have a direction in which to head?
Nodding.
Now here we're not at our best. We're missing the soul presences that are normally here.
Yeah, they're nodding. They noticed.
It's making everything more challenging, but we've been through this before, and it's not scary like it was the first time,
or even the second
time.
That's
and
true.
So this is okay. This too shall pass, and we hold the space until then. And not just hold the space, like really let's continue toward the goal, because sitting around waiting for them doesn't help us.
No, and the deadline's still there.
The deadline's still there.
Shadrach is asking for help in sorting the groups. He's saying, alright, so we need to start getting groups together to go.
Yes, we can just
Will you
do
help
it
me sort?
energetically. I love the sorting work.
Me too.